Hi, I'm Matt Taylor. I'm the Clinical Director of Response Physio, and today we're doing a workshop on shoulder pain. So the first thing to note is the different parts of the shoulder. There's a joint here, right at the top, and it's where the collarbone meets the shoulder blade. Okay, we call it the AC joint. Other common places of shoulder pain is down here, all right, and then other common places is the front of the shoulder and the back of the shoulder. So each of these will have different reasons for them, and we split them into two bits. There'll be a traumatic onset of shoulder pain, whereby something's happened. You've reached around the back of the car seat, and then as you try to bring that bag out of the back of the car, you've hurt your shoulder, or there'll be somebody fell or something banged into somebody, and they're all traumatic reasons for shoulder pain. And then there'll be gradual onset injuries, whereby the shoulder is now under pressure for a variety of reasons, and that's what we're going to concentrate on, is that gradual onset. I've got shoulder pain and I don't know why. I've got shoulder pain, it came on for no reason, I ignored it, and then it gradually got worse, and now I'm fed up with it and it's starting to affect my life. Okay, and what will happen in most cases is your shoulder pain will start in an area and then will gradually spread out as it worsens over time. So the key bit here is to identify that with the physio or with somebody who looks at it, that actually it began in an area and it gradually spread out over time. So if we take a look at Jamie's shoulder, we can see it does a number of things, and we can see that it's set up in a number of ways. First of all, we'll look at, as physiotherapists, whether this shoulder is forwards there. Okay, and it's very common if you have a job at a computer that this becomes your standard position, whereas that is our mechanically ideal position. So this is very common, and when we're in this position, we've got a job that's at a computer, or we've got a job at a keyboard, and then in a day we might never raise our arms up above our head, okay, because we cook, we kitchen work surface, we might clean, and everything is done, we drive, and everything's done in this space as opposed to being done up here. Now the shoulder is a marvellous joint and it loves being able to move in lots of different directions. So if it's in this forward position, as we're demonstrating here of Jamie's, what this will do is weaken the back, tighten up the front, change the pressure through the arm. So this was when the shoulder pain workshop becomes a little bit about elbow pain as well. And actually, if it's there, that's a really good position. Now, Jamie finds it's easy to hold it in this position because he has improved his strength around the back of his body here. So I'm going to turn Jamie around and we're going to look at the strength here. Okay, now you look at this, and if the definitions come out on camera, everybody will go, oh, you know, that takes ages, I don't want to have to be doing that sort of stuff. And it isn't vital that you are super strong, but you definitely have to work these muscles here to undo daily life. Okay, most shoulder pains that are gradual onset will have daily life as an effect, or a position that's an effect on causing that shoulder pain. So we're going to show you a couple of exercises now to try and get this area working. All right. The first one is really simple, and what I'm going to get you to do, Jamie, is hold this in that position like that. Great, and I'll get you to turn to the camera, and then we're going to just drop your arm straight down and we're going to pull there. Now the important thing is, and you'll see Jamie's hand doesn't turn and then back in, and then pull again. And what he's now doing, good, and back in, and I'll get him to turn around and do this from this angle as well. So as he pulls out, this area works here, and relax, and again, good, all right. And then if you put your arm straight out in front of you, and we'll pull that apart again, and we've got this exercise happening here, all this area is having to work all the way across the back, all the way across there. And what he's not doing, I'll show you the cheat, I'll show you how to cheat on this in a moment, and then up in the air as far as you can, and again, exactly the same thing. It's hard for him here, sometimes you won't be able to pull it quite as far apart, okay? So if we turn around and we go to the front again, just straight out in front for me. So if we look at Jamie's fingers, they are on top of one another, and you can use this in the gym as well on any weights. If the fingers are on top of one another like this and he starts to pull it apart, he's managing to keep his fingers on top of one another all the way, but it's hard for him, so it's good and relaxed. If we say, okay, to cheat, if he had a weaker shoulder, let's say it's this left one, what he'll do is he'll start to pull it apart, and then he'll start to turn that one there like that. And that's him using his compensation muscles to achieve this. And if he uses his compensation muscles, what will happen is the shoulder problem will stick around, okay? Now Jamie's pulling it really far apart. You don't even have to pull it that far apart. If your shoulder's really painful and all you can do is that movement till it pulls, that's as far as we go, okay? So we just do little movements, and then gradually as we get stronger, and gradually means over a 2, 3, 4 week period, it'll start to change. Super, thanks very much. And then facing away from me again. So what we've done there is we've worked this area, okay? And we've worked the back of the shoulder. And this is one of the weakest areas of the shoulder. This is one of the areas where normal daily life will affect this, okay? And we need to get control of this. So another thing we can try, again with a band, is if I get you to face that way, Jamie, there, and we're going to get Jamie to bend over, and we're going to do a swimming motion with that hand, okay? So if you step back a little bit, that's super, and we're going to lean forwards, and then we're going to go on a swimming movement, on a front crawl movement. We're going to bring the elbow back, and then we're going to turn and bring the elbow up, and then we're going to reach slowly over the top. This movement here is really good for control now through this movement, okay? And again, we can do that, and we can get him to keep his thumb up this time. Keep your thumb up, keep your thumb up, keep your thumb up. Excellent. And then do it again, and then keep your thumb up, keep your thumb up, keep your thumb up. Excellent. And that's changed the muscle that's working, but I'm controlling the shoulder using the back muscles. And this could be tied, the end that I'm holding could be tied to a door, so that he's having to work it through that motion. And watch him twist his body. Good. And swap arms for me, Jamie, just so we can get the side there. You can stay on the same side, that's it. And then we're going to pull that back, turn it round. He gets that twist in as well, that's really important. We can let his little finger come up as well if he wants to, because that changes where the effort is taking place. That's it, and over it goes, and that changes where the effort's taking place. Another thing you can do to help your shoulder pain, okay, is even though you might be feeling it tight at the front of the shoulder, so on this occasion we'll talk about a specific shoulder pain being anterior shoulder pain. So I'll just turn Jamie around so you can see, and this is where you might get a shoulder pain here in the front of the joint, of the main joint of the shoulder, okay? I'm being very accurate with my words so that there's no misunderstanding. So this is when you've got pain at the front of the shoulder. There's a muscle here at the back of the shoulder. I'll probably just quarter turn you there. There's a muscle here which is one of the rotator cuff muscles, and that muscle goes underneath the armpit and then comes through the underneath the armpit and attaches to the front, which again we'll turn the quarter turn into here. Okay, and there's some really important muscles that all attach into here. There's about 4 muscles attached into here. And what we want to do at that point, quarter turn there, what we want to do at that point is we want to make sure that that muscle is nice and loose. So you can take a lacrosse ball, which is quite bouncy but sturdy, all right, and you can put it against the wall, and then the wall will hold it still, and then you can bend your knees up and down to make sure that it will loosen off that. Now, to make that even more effective, just put your left hand on top of your head for me, please, Jamie. So now I've opened up that muscle, and I'm trying to roll the ball against the wall by moving your body up and down to loosen off that muscle there. Okay, now that's not the only place that it can be beneficial, because it can be beneficial in the back of the shoulder blade, and it can also be beneficial here. And this is where the muscles of the head and neck come down and attach to the rib cage on both sides, And you might have shoulder pain at the front or the side or the back, and the compensation is that all of these muscles become tight. So trying to get these muscles loosened up will be useful anyway, because this is where we get stressed, and this is where our joint becomes stiff here, and once these are stiff, that will overload the muscles around the shoulder. So it's called a trigger point ball, and you can get them in plenty of cases. They're, again, not very expensive, but this is worthwhile trying to loosen off the back of the shoulder and close to the spine to start to have an effect on freeing up the shoulder. So it's worth in this workshop paying attention to some of the tests we do to check for serious injury. So for example, if you have a traumatic incident, like you're holding onto a dog lead and the dog pulls you, or you fall over, or somebody bangs into your arm and it gets pulled backwards, or you catch your hand on a door, anything like that can result in a more serious injury. And we would look at that in a number of ways. So I'm just going to show you the areas we would look at. First of all, we'd have a look at the collarbone, and we'd make sure this bone was in a nice alignment. So for example, if somebody fell over on the side of the shoulder, it is possible to damage the collarbone, and we'd know that because it wouldn't be in a nice alignment and be very tender. The next thing that you can do is this AC joint can stick up in the air, and that would also give us an idea that we've done something more structural. Now in this scenario, it's very difficult to realign that joint, but it's people are very capable of managing with it not in a perfect position. The next thing we would look at is whether there was a cartilage injury, and we would do that through this test, and then we would have a look to see if somebody was weak in that position. Okay, and that would give us an indication about a cartilage injury. If we turn Jamie around again, we're going to use his other arm this time. So we're going to put his arm behind his back, and we get him to lift his hand off the back of his back there, and that would give us an indication about these muscles around here and about whether a tear had taken place in these muscles. That's it. We can also apply a couple of other tests to check whether we've upset a muscle in here, or upset a joint in here, sorry. And we can also apply a test where we look at whether there has been a squashing of some structures when we test it in this way. And when we say a squashing, we mean that there are inflammation and swelling on some of the tendons in this area. And the other thing we look for regularly in a structural injury is something called a frozen shoulder. Now that has very specific losses of range of motion that create this diagnosis of frozen shoulder. And in that scenario, we regularly admit we don't know how that happens. The world hasn't worked out why a shoulder becomes frozen, but we have a good idea it's because it's not used enough in all of the possible range that it could possibly do. And therefore, if you have a job whereby it's very much below the shoulder, there needs to be lots of times in the day when you are stretching out and moving your arm into new positions to make sure this doesn't become frozen shoulder. So that's just an idea of other tests we would do when we go looking for more serious injury, if the mechanism of injury, if the way you've injured it shows itself that we need to do that. So in this workshop, we've given you a few ideas about why a shoulder pain might be there. We've given you a few ideas about how we classify it from a gradual injury into a traumatic injury. And I think the main thing is you can try those things. Don't leave a shoulder pain too long, because the longer you leave it, the longer it takes for us to put all of the ingredients necessary into a basket to try and make a shoulder pain go away. So don't leave it too long. Come and see a physio as soon as you can, and that way we can help you get rid of it as quick as we can.